afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Public Works and Infrastructure Committee meeting. I'm Commissioner Robert Patrick. I'm joined by committee member Shakira Johnson and also our presiding officer. We're also joined today by Commissioner Terry, Super 6. With that being said, let's get into the minutes. Agenda item 2026-0325. This is the minutes for February 3rd PWI committee meeting. Commissioner, are you ready?
Yes, I am. I move to approve item 0325.
All right. I'll go ahead and second that. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Moving on to new business. We have under Public Works, Roads, and Drainage, agenda item 2026-0337. This is for all commission districts. Change order number 2 to contract number 1284296 and 1284297 for stormwater system cleaning, video inspection services, and repairs. This is a multi-year contract for use by Public Works, Roads, and Drainage. These contracts consist of stormwater system cleaning, video inspection services, and repair. This request seeks to increase the contract funds and term through December 31st, 2027, inclusive of price increases awarded to Chemi Construction Company Incorporated and A&S Paving Incorporated, total amount not to exceed $2,936,060. And I believe central staff has already sent this over to Mr. Lavoie Campbell. Although it does not cross that $3 million threshold, it's close enough where I think it's worth a look at. And so we're going to have that one deferred to our next meeting. Next item is going to be on top of page 2. This is under Department of Watershed Management. This is for Commission Districts 1 and 7, agenda item 2026-0291, notice of partial abandonment and water and sewer easement. And Director Wells, I guess, will you speak to that for us? I think we understand generally the concept to just flesh it out, make sure we're in the right direction. And then it goes before that, I guess it is a public hearing for next week.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Along with, I think, a couple of other items. So ultimately, this is a specific location off Stewart Road in Doorville. Mm-hmm. We're abandoning not only a sewer, but a water easement as well. The previous development, I think it was an apartment complex, necessitated having the infrastructure there to serve the high-density dwelling. And since the property has changed hands, there's been a lot of demolishment. So hence, along with the removal and demolishment and decommissioning of some infrastructure, mm-hmm. the easements are no longer needed.
Right. Put it another way, since all the development activity happened, as you said, it may not necessarily make sense for the department to hold on to this particular easement, which is why this conversation's happening.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Perfect. Okay. Commissioner Johnson, any questions, concerns?
I have questions. So just, I guess, clarification. This needs to come before us for a public hearing? Is that what you said? Oh, okay. I see it now. It's the first item on our public hearing for the 26th. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Thank you, Reggie.
All right.
Moving on to the next item. Agenda item 2026-0129. This is for all commission districts. Cooperative agreement for cranes and hoist maintenance, inspection and repairs. DeKalb County contract number 24-6811 for use by the Department of Watershed Management, consists of purchasing off the competitively let DeKalb County contract number 24-6811 for inspection, service, and repair of overhead bridges, cranes, gantries, monorails, and hoists, awarded to Crane Service Solutions and Material Handling Systems Incorporated. Total amount not to exceed $300,000.
Yes, sir. This item is a co-op DeKalb County contract that ultimately we're piggybacking off of in order to have the necessary services to maintain, inspect, and repair our crane and rigging systems within watershed. In particular at our plants, we have a a lot of heavy equipment, pumps, actuators that we have overhead cranes and whatnot that we need to ensure are maintained.
Understood. Okay. Commissioner Johnson, any questions?
Nope, I'm good.
All right. Commissioner Terry, any questions? No? Okay. I'll open the floor for a motion.
Yes, sir. I move to approve item ending in 0129.
I'll go ahead and second. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, moving on. This is under items previously heard. We have agenda item 2025-1265 for all commission districts. Low bid invitation number 25-100070. Consent decree, ongoing sewer condition assessment and rehabilitation. For use by the Department of Watershed Management, consists of performing consent decree assignments along with meeting the urgent needs that arise from operational events of the sewer system. Recommend award to the lowest responsive and responsible bidders, Chemi Construction Company Incorporated and Southeast Pipe Survey Incorporated. Total amount not to exceed $49,752,501. And we just got a substitute. Okay. Director Wells, if you'll speak to that.
Yes, sir. So last PWI, upon asking for the 2-week referral, along with audit, Department of Procurement and Watershed, there was an opportunity to just do better, quite frankly, for the county. Through a series of actions, we were able to do two things: have the unit pricing reduced for one particular vendor that we thought was kind of high, and secondly, we proportioned the contract 60-40 due to the benefit of the county. The vendor that has the better unit pricing, we asked if they could add additional capacity for a greater reward, and that allowed us to ultimately realize roughly about a $4.8 million reduction in reward.
Fantastic.
So, hence the substitute. I think previously we were at 4.9. The new award is, 49 million. The new award is for 44.8 million and change.
All right. And again, this has already been, Mr. Campbell's already signed off on this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They were a part of the process. Yeah, they quite frankly echoed some of the things that we were thinking, and with their backing, procurement was willing to ask for a BOCFL, best and final offer, which led to some savings. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Johnson, any questions?
No questions. I was looking at that email from audit and the reduction, so I really appreciate the work and saving the county money.
Absolutely. Commissioner Terry?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, so the savings were in going through the bid tabulation and looking at the unit pricing quantity or the actual pricing?
Both.
Okay.
Meaning,
Okay.
so that's a great point, but unit pricing did change.
Okay. All right, that's what I'm talking about. Because in the past, it's kind of been sort of, well, you don't need, like, you used X number of linear feet last time, and you don't need it this time at the same amount. But this one, to me, this is the real savings if the unit pricing is being double-checked.
Correct. No,
Okay.
Yes. It's, now,
Okay.
of course, it's still based off utilization. However,
Right.
the reduction in unit price is the mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay. Unless there's any other questions, open the floor for a motion.
Yes, sir. Just make sure I know where I'm at. I move to approve the substitute for item 1265.
I'll go ahead and second. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, moving along. We are done that quickly. Wow. Greatest show on earth is supposed to have more stuff, right?
Well,
But we're
got
the
a
greatest show.
presentation.
No, I know the presentation, but I got it down.
It's going to be exciting.
Okay, all right. Commissioner Terry, Can we have about a 10-minute discussion on your item and then get into the other items, or would you prefer I do other stuff and then circle back to you?
Yeah, I think we can be 5 minutes, actually.
Okay, all right. Let me read it out. This is Super District 6, Agenda Item 2025-1787. This is for all commission districts. A resolution to enhance environmental equity and sanitation practices in DeKalb County, sponsored by Commissioner Terry.
Great, thank you. And I'll turn your all's attention to the map in the very end of the packet here. That kind of visualizes what we're talking about here. So the one piece of information I don't have, Mr. Chair, that I think, Zach, I'm going to need your support on, is we have sort of the generalized radius, but we actually need to figure out, in order to get an accurate fiscal impact, of how many addresses receive curbside service. And hopefully we can kind of ballpark it-ish, because that would impact the fiscal statement. So we do know that based on GIS data, there's 4,400 households approximately in that 2-mile radius. But as you see in the discount structure for Section 1, it's a staggered discount. And so if you live directly around the landfill, that blue area, 50% discount, and then 35% for half a mile to a mile, 20%, 10% as we go out to 2 miles. And this is really just born out of the fact that I sort of represent the western half of the landfill and the neighborhoods to the west. And there is generally complaints about the smell throughout the year. And so the goal here would be to, one, recognize that the individuals that live nearby do experience more nuisance because of the landfill. I believe the landfill is continuing to work on odor monitoring, Zach, but I think that was referenced in the resolution because we just want to make sure that the odor monitoring system is as sort of robust as it can be. And then there is a Section 2 for air purifiers that would support residents based on some other jurisdictions that would provide some HVAC filter rebates that potentially could support homes where maybe the ventilation is not so good, and if it's deemed that some of the odor is infiltrating into the homes, there would be sort of a small rebate for the MERV 8 to 12, and then the MERV 13 plus, which are sort of like more of the hospital grade type filters for your HVAC. And then, yes, and then we're going to continue to request that we move forward on the composting plan, which I know Director Wells mentioned they're about 50% through the Pole Bridge master plan study to see sort of what could potentially be done at Pole Bridge. So would certainly kind of defer to that process until we know exactly what's possible. But the key thing for the residents, and based on the EPA data, is that generally speaking, if a municipal landfill diverts more food waste into a composting program, then the odors from the landfill can be reduced, as well as just the overall emissions coming from the landfill, which are greenhouse gases. And so by composting it, it actually captures and creates sort of a nutrient-rich soil, as well as carbon sequestration. And then, of course, since we were talking about how to pay for that $4.4 million earlier, we do believe that the other jurisdictions have shown that composting facilities are revenue generators. Athens-Clarke County generates about $1.3 million every year through their compost program. And so in essence, they're selling it to landscape companies, Home Depot, Lowe's, et cetera. So I do believe that this, in a way, the composting revenues can support the overall sanitation fund, but also even potentially pay for some of these rebates that we're suggesting. We believe it would only be approximately $250,000, just based on sort of back of the napkin math. But Zach would love to get as much data as sanitation can provide about the number of houses that might be sort of in this area. All right, and I'll yield back.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Terry. Commissioner Johnson, any questions?
Just, I know you're working through the process, but has a financial impact been conducted, and then has this gone through legal?
Well, We don't have a financial impact because I don't have the exact number of addresses. We know there's 4,482 households according to GIS, but that's in the 2-mile radius. So the discount, is staggered. So, if everyone got the 50% discount, it'd be about 400-something thousand. But it's going to be less than that because most of the households are beyond that 0.5 miles. So I know it'd be under 400,000 total.
So I definitely would like to see more definitive breakdown when you get to that point.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
Then just making sure we've looked at all aspects of what the implications would be of implementing something like this. I yield.
Okay. And you asked about the law department. So County Attorney Phillips, I believe we've done rebate the reason why we kind of brought up the rebate program is that's a common sort of theme we've seen in other policies in the county. Is there any reason to believe that a rebate program like this would be any different than the other ones we've done?
Off the cuff, no. We would obviously look at it.
Okay.
As always, all of the details and circumstances matter. But I can't, off the cuff, say that I see one.
Okay.
A reason why it would be different.
Okay, but if you don't mind, just because the committee member asked, just make sure that there's no issue with doing a rebate program like this.
Understood.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Just out of curiosity, do we know what the age of the landfill is?
Ooh, it's like the 80s, wasn't it? It's been expanded over the years.
Zach, do we know what the age of this area is, and then age of the housing that surrounds it?
I don't have off the top of my head if you're asking me, Mr. Chair, but you're going to have a mix. Some homes were built after the landfill was there, and there may be some homes that were there before the landfill.
Okay, all right. And then, and this is probably going to be more of a Robert Gordon or whoever's over sanitation. I apologize, I forget the person's name. But I remember this conversation we had previously about a composting plan, and I thought the previous director said that they actually found that the composting increased the smell from the, is there a way that we can address that question? Is there any other data from other landfills that talks about some measurable way of saying that this does work, that this does in fact reduce the smells that come from it, or is there?
Yeah, I think hopefully the study, as we go further and further into studying Pole Bridge, I've heard the same thing, in fact, that food waste, because of the decomposition, creates certain gases that are, that you smell.
Yep.
But that would maybe be more relevant at the Seminole landfill site. The study that we have commissioned as a result, part of the discussion of the 1010 water sewer rate increase was us to study the use of Pole Bridge for a variety of potential opportunities, one of which would be compost.
Okay.
So that's ongoing. And when Commissioner Terry mentioned the study that's halfway through, I believe that's what he's referring to.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I guess a follow-up question to that would be, if we're doing composting, is there ways to containerize it where the smell is not able to blow with the wind, literally?
I'm sure. I mean, even if you did it inside and had certain air scrubbers and things, it's all about cost, but
Okay.
we'll kind of cross those bridges.
Okay.
Yeah, I
All right.
can answer that if you want.
And then I guess as Commissioner Johnson mentioned, the cost components to this. I know when we did the rate increase for sanitation, or I recall when we did the rate increase for sanitation, that it helped stabilize the fund to a certain extent, but costs have also gone up since then. So
Sure.
I'm just curious to know how stable the fund will be, and what does this mean for the future going forward with the
Right. So
current rate?
when we do a true fiscal impact, not only of the potential offset or the reduction in revenue from the various residents and the different distance out from the landfill. Also, there's the filters. There's a number of things in there that we will kind of categorize what we think it would cost based on, say, 50% participation in the filters and so forth. But the long and short is we're going to be coming back to you with more. The cost of sanitation continues to go up, so we will need to increase fees to keep up with the cost.
Okay, all right. Just trying to think of some other controversial places we've talked about. I guess I remember from the airport there were conversations around property values. So if there's a way to look into property values, if that's a thing, let's be able to answer that question.
Yeah,
knowing-
I'm sure that we could draw some circumference around the landfill, go out the 2 miles, and then compare with most comparable areas.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, Commissioner Terry, what do you think? Obviously, it sounds like we're going to need a little more time to look at it. Or 30 days, 45 days?
Yeah, I'm good for a deferral to get the fiscal impact. I was going to say at NACO, Director Gordon helped set up a tour of the Prince George's County composting facility.
Okay.
It's a public-private partnership.
Okay.
And so just to answer your question about the smell, so I think the main thing is that the food waste is going to the landfill anyways.
Absolutely.
So it's smelling. The theory, though, is that when you process it in a compost facility separately, it not only reduces the emissions because you're sort of using the microbiological process to capture, but it's also a revenue generator.
Okay.
And so this is the thing I keep saying, Zach, is if we are going to the residents with a rate increase this year, I think it would be very helpful if we had the revenue strategy across the board. It's not just rate increases, it's compost facility, it's the gas collection, system, right? And then the other little small piece of this that I learned in Athens-Clarke County is they actually make the most money by composting biosolids from the wastewater treatment plant. So right now, wastewatershed management is paying a tip fee at the landfill to dump the biosolids, but if we divert biosolids out of the landfill, one, it reduces the water content, which supports the leachate system, which is very expensive to maintain. But then again, we're actually processing it into compost that we can sell, and then it kind of creates sort of a closed loop system. And then I'm gonna, keep saying it generates revenue where otherwise won't.
Whomever, is this an Arcadis study, or who's doing this financial study?
CERM. Well, CERM's doing the Pole Bridge study.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So again, looking forward to the results of that. Do we have an
Yeah.
idea of when that study is coming back?
They're halfway through.
End of
Okay.
April?
Can we have this come back to coincide with that presentation?
Mid-May? Second meeting in May, is that okay?
Yeah, you think we can kind of bring them together? Because part of that study does help influence
Okay.
part of this resolution.
So let's bring it back to the,
I think mid-May, that way the study can get conducted, and that would give people time to digest it as well.
right, okay.
So defer this item ending in 1787 to the second meeting in May.
May. I'll go ahead and second that. All of those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, perfect. Thank you, Commissioner Terry. Okay, guys, I heard about this presentation. Welcome, Director.
Thank you, Commissioners, for this opportunity to present. As you know, per our standard operating procedures, we revisit the CIP every 2 years. CIP 2024 kind of bled into 2025, but we are here for CIP 2026. And part of the process involves looking at data, consulting our expert employees, our consultants, actually coordinating now with other departments, for example, Stormwater Department, SPLOS, as to how we could merge projects if projects are going to overlap when they're doing projects, and even with our cities, like if they have a streetscape project plan, we want to make sure that we're not disrupting overall. So this is part of the effort, but of course, before we get to CIP 2026, we are going to look back and see some of the successes from CIP 2024, which involves multi-year projects. So we have a video which will create some highlights. Keep in mind that a lot of projects are multi-year. So as you look at that video, you're going to see projects that are being completed. Some have had design that are getting ready to go into construction. Some are just being initiated. And of course, it also involves our development arm, which is under the consent decree, our capacity assurance program. Y'all have approved some developer private-public partnership there as well, and we had some successes. We wanted to highlight still Pepsi because we still did some work last year to make sure that they could continue operations. So I'll turn it over to our video, and then I'll come back up.
That's all I heard.
Every day, the DeKalb County Department of Watershed Management delivers millions of gallons of clean, safe drinking water to homes and businesses across the county. But behind the scenes, much of this infrastructure, from treatment plants to underground pipelines, has served our community for decades and is now due for renewal. DeKalb County's 10-year Capital Improvement Program, or CIP, is a multi-billion-dollar investment to modernize and strengthen the county's aging water and sewer systems. The 10x10 plan provides for 10% annual water and sewer rate adjustments for the next 10 years, generating the stable, predictable funding needed to reverse decades of underinvestment in our water and sewer systems. The CIP includes more than $4.27 billion in capital projects during the 10-year period, including $2.4 billion on wastewater projects and $1.9 billion on water projects. Funding comes from rate adjustments, bonds, and state and federal loans. During the next decade, the county plans to invest $1 billion to replace roughly 266 miles of both small and large diameter water pipes. These projects are improving service reliability and reducing breaks across multiple districts, including Scott Boulevard Phases 2 and 3 in Decatur, which have been completed, and the Peachtree Boulevard Water Transmission Main replacement in Chamblee, which is currently underway. Just as important as water upgrades are sewer system upgrades. These upgrades enhance durability and performance, reducing the risk of sewer overflows and improving service reliability for residents and businesses. A number of small diameter sewer upsizing projects were completed in 2025, including Kahili Drive, 2nd and 3rd Avenue, Cobb Creek, Sowell Estates, and Roman Court, which were all required for the consent decree program. These projects resolved more than 15 priority fix list sites at a total of 34,000 plus linear feet for the consent decree. The Capacity Assurance Program ensures the county's sewer system can handle new development before any new sewer connections are approved. If a sewer area doesn't have enough capacity, the county can approve new projects using capacity credits. These credits come from fixing or upgrading parts of the sewer system, which frees up space for new development. The PepsiCo bottling facility expansion exemplifies the benefits of DeKalb's public-private partnership program for wastewater capacity assurance. Beginning in 2022, PepsiCo began a $260 million expansion of its bottling facility, which increased production by 5-fold and added 136 full-time jobs. To ensure wastewater capacity for this expansion, PepsiCo partnered with DeKalb to rehabilitate more than 2 miles of sewer, removing an estimated 705,000 gallons per day of extraneous groundwater and stormwater entering through the defective pipes. The Scott Candler Water Treatment Plant is scheduled for a major upgrade project in the coming years to enhance reliability and resilience in the system by adding new finished water clear wells and a high service pump station at an estimated $200+ million. This project will provide backup capability and capacity within the plant by eliminating reliance on plant infrastructure dating back decades at the county's sole water treatment plant. Projects at the Snapfinger Advanced Wastewater Treatment Facility represent critical components of DeKalb County's $4.27 billion CIP. Originally built in the 1960s, the facility was recently modernized and expanded to increase treatment capacity by 10 million gallons per day. Further planned expansion at the plant in the coming CIP represents an investment of more than $300 million. The Phase 2 project upgraded Snapfinger to a modern treatment system that cleans wastewater more efficiently. The plant switched from an older method called activated sludge to a membrane bioreactor system. This new system filters water through very fine membranes and produces cleaner, higher quality water. The upcoming Phase 3B project will install a UV system. Once UV disinfection is in place, the plant will be able to stop using chlorine, which will improve health and safety for workers and the surrounding community. DeKalb County has multiple planned trunk sewer upsizing projects to eliminate sanitary sewer overflows and protect water quality. Beginning in 2026 and continuing through mid-2037, the county will undertake one of the largest sewer infrastructure upgrades in its history. Over the course of the project, more than 27 miles of trunk sewer will be replaced with larger, higher capacity pipe. The first to get underway is Shoal Creek. The CIP is a critical component to DeKalb's future. By modernizing water and sewer systems, the county is strengthening the foundation of our communities, protecting the environment, and ensuring that future generations can rely on safe, clean, and dependable service. To learn more about the CIP projects, visit the CIP webpage and social media platforms, including Facebook, X, formerly Twitter, YouTube, and Nextdoor. Aviva Hoffman, DCTV.
Very impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, y'all actually approved the contract for Shoal Creek, so we're getting ready to kick off that huge trunk line project. As we move into CIP 2026, I wanted to reintroduce a couple of people that are really helpful. Our CIP program managers, AECOM, they're here. Greg and Shane, as well as Brad, is there, and they're going to come up to talk about just the CIP. There's been about 10 years since we updated the guidelines as to how we define and deliver the CIP, and we want to just stay up to date with current practices. So we're going through that effort as we are delivering CIP 2026. So Greg is going to go over quickly the spend that we had last year, and Shane is going to talk about some of the improvements we're doing to the processes in how we ensure that we are delivering the correct CIP, we're selecting the right projects, we're prioritizing them properly, and then we come to y'all for approval, then go out and execute after we get contracts. The second part, I'm going to turn it over to one of our principal engineers, Arjun, and he will talk about one of our components of our system. So if you wanted to indulge us, if we would like to bring to the board one section of the infrastructure as we go along for different CIPs, with the final outcome being in May coming with the full CIP. So you have a host of people right now, the third floor B side, it's all CIP workers, and we are working on it right now. So as we go along, we want to kind of bring the board with us so you know what we're working on. So Arjun is going to start talking about the transmission main, and Brad, he did a lot with the master planning regarding transmission mains, and we're going to talk about a new strategy we hope to implement to get ahead of the breaks we are seeing, especially with our precast concrete, the large pipes. We want to kind of change gears because we've been a bit behind, like we're in engineering and the pipe fails and we have to rush. And so we want to change gears and kind of get ahead of it. So he's going to talk about that. So I'm going to first turn it over to Greg, and we'll have everyone else.
All right, Greg, welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. How are y'all?
Doing good. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. As Maria indicated, I'm going to first talk briefly about the CIP spend levels that we've had. If I can advance the slide. If you can see the chart, looking back historically on the graph, we go back to 2016. In the orange levels are what the spend level has been per year on the watershed management CIP. You can see the dip there during the COVID years, but then starting to ramp back up. So last year, 2025, we ended the year at around $221 million in CIP spend. The plan last year, we initiated the new 10 by 10 rate increases and the CIP 2024 over the 10-year period from 25 through 2034. So the first year of that was 2025, and the plan was $268 million. So we're a little behind on that, and the actual finish was around $221 million. Some of that was during that first quarter it took to get the rate increases approved and the new CIP approved before we got rolling. So there was some slowdown there, but following that, the rate of increase did pick up pretty well. We've had over $460 million in contracts and added scope change orders approved through the board since that CIP was approved during the first quarter, February, March of last year. So the backlog of projects and contractual capacity is growing and in the manner so that we can actually deliver the projects in a way that the rates increase there, you can see on the previous slide. So over that 10-year period, the next several years, the increased spending goes up substantially. For this year, it's in the $360 to $375 million range, and it is looking good for that with the contracts we have already approved through the board, and also a number of contracts. Number one, Shoal Creek, which the BOC approved last week, which is a major trunk sewer project, and then two other projects which are currently bidding through procurement were some of the largest projects that Watershed Management's ever bid. So those are all looking good to be able to ramp the program up and to get closer and meet the spending levels that are anticipated with the new CIP. With that, I'll hand it over to Shane to speak on the CIP 2026 and the definition of that.
Great, thank you, Greg. Shane, welcome back.
Afternoon, Commissioners. So in gearing up to deliver the current CIP, the $4.27 billion plan, some of the things we've had to do is go back and sort of make sure that we have the right procedures in place to enable us to meet those objectives. And so from 2017, we published program procedure manuals, PPMs, which really detailed how we do sort of different things, components in the delivery of our program. That includes like things from governance through to risk management, planning, needs analysis, and so forth. One of the things we found in trying to update those PPMs was that we did not have a framework, a roadmap that sort of gives us the overall picture of how we do everything. So gets us from one point to the next. And in doing so, we started developing the program management plan that we plan to publish fairly soon. We've developed a draft of that now that really puts all of those components together to just sort of assist. Part of putting the document together was not merely just sort of starting from scratch. We've already got the program procedure manuals that I mentioned, but in general, we have always been following industry best practice, just sort of segmented in a segmented way, and we've had to go back and just confirm that now what we've defined as 4 pillars, governance, planning, delivery, assurance, that the PMP covers those things, with the governance and assurance being sort of overarching pillars, and where we have planning and delivery being the core component of what we're doing. In respect of that core component, we have the CIP life cycle, which speaks to us, like sort of from the generation, how do we develop a project right through to the delivery of the project. I plan on giving one more presentation on this to take you through the detail of sort of how the various phases work. But in essence, in summary, we begin with the need identification, which involves us taking taking different bits of information from regulatory requirements through condition assessment, stakeholder requirements, ops and maintenance information. We use that to build models and to inform basically what the gap is. So we have a definite basis. We're not just sort of guessing where our needs are. We take those needs once we've identified them and sort of detail them further to the point that we can apply what we call a triple bottom line analysis, considering social, economic, environmental considerations or constraints into scoring those projects, so that we can then, from using sort of an equal datum or a plane, to score all of our projects, and then based on the scoring that we get from that, we can then determine with respect to the resources available resources that we have, what we can sort of prioritize and move through to the CIP, which is a list that you will generally see, and one that will become updated from last year. At the end of the day, the goal in updating this and making sure that we have all of this correct is to sort of provide the assurance that we have a structured plan that leads to us delivering or meeting our objectives. One of the best ways that I've thought about this is that, when we wake up tomorrow, we need to know what the plan is, what projects we're going to have, what are the priority of those projects, how much does it cost us, how long do those projects sort of exist for. And without that, we can't move from sort of the reactive state that we are to a proactive state. The information, as we compile the information that is pertinent to the update or the refresh of the CIP, we've established a SharePoint site where we will be collating that information. I believe that that link has already been shared with you, yeah, we'll keep you updated on that. Any questions?
Commissioner Johnson, any questions?
Not at this time. Just a comment, though. I'd really appreciate it. I think it was on the previous slide. One governance and delivery model for every project in every district. I think that is so important that is top of mind, even on our CIP projects, that we are trying to really live and talk the walk of one DeKalb. So I really appreciated that being top of mind.
Sure. And in the next presentation, there's a little bit more to that, where you see the same scoring, same criteria applied to across the board to all the projects.
Yeah, I think the citizens will appreciate that as well.
Agreed. Commissioner Bolton, any questions, any comments? Not yet. Okay. Well, Shane, that's it for now.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Hey, sir, welcome.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, my name is Arjun Bootsma. I'm Principal Engineer with Watershed. This is about the water transmission main resiliency, and this is about a 60-inch water main that we are planning. The 60-inch water main is necessary to provide the capacity for the future growth of this county, but also very importantly to provide the resiliency so that as watershed we can deliver on our promise of reliable water service to this county. It's 4 phases. Phase A is approximately 9.5 miles from the Scott Candler plant to the North Lake Mall area. The routing for Phase A has been established, and we've recently started the detailed design for the first 2.2 miles of that stretch of 60-inch main. For Phase B, we're in the process of determining the route, and Phase C and D will occur in the future to complete the loop. As you can see from the small insert chart, Phase B is located in the heart of this county, which provides a number of challenges. It's heavily built out, and it's crisscrossed by highways, interstates, railroads, and all kinds of streams and creeks. Another set of challenges is, and I've shown the map of our current transmission mains. Those are the large water mains. When we, obviously, the total length of Phase B, approximately 15 miles, they're not going to be built in one shot. So one of the challenges is to route it in such a way that we can have meaningful connections to the other large mains. We have to avoid putting our new main in the same corridors with existing mains, but where possible, if existing mains that are nearing the end of their technical lifespan can be replaced by the 60-inch mains, we try to take advantage of that. The way we determined our route. First of all, the engineering and planning team consists of the watershed engineering and construction management services team, led by Deputy Director Williams. The AECOM program management team that provides specialist services and general assistance. And our consultant on this project is Friesen Nichols and Graham & Associate, that who are doing the legwork, and quite literally they did walk the route to confirm that it's feasible. With selecting the route, we have taken the following into consideration: constructability, estimated construction cost, the segment hydraulic benefit, service delivery risk, utility congestion, environmental impact, transportation impact, public works infrastructure, project interference, historic preservation impact, disadvantaged communities impact, easement acquisition requirements, and lastly, the impact on future CIP projects. And this is the route we came up with. It starts at North Lake Mall, inside the perimeter. It snakes to Clarkston, from Clarkston to Avondale, where it is connected, where it will be connected to the Avondale elevated storage tank. And then it goes west towards City of Decatur, and it terminates at the Claremont elevated storage tanks, which is right next door to the VA hospital. One of the advantages of this route is that we were able to eliminate 21,700 feet, which is over 4 miles, of existing 30-inch PCCP concrete transmission main, which will result in $40 to $45 million cost savings. A very limited length, where the new transmission main parallels existing transmission mains. And finally, the capital cost is estimated at around $278 million. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Commissioners, any questions? Commissioner Johnson?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I think this slide kind of answers my question about decommissioning the existing lines. So some will be decommissioned, but some would stay on in service to help with redundancy?
Most of the large transmission mains will stay in service. The case that I mentioned about the replacement of the 30-inch concrete main, the pre-stressed concrete cylinder pipe mains are undesirable pipes, and we're in the process of replacing a number of them right now.
Okay.
But if you can replace it with the future 60-inch main, that's definitely a benefit to both our water system, to the reliability of the system, and to the ratepayers.
Yeah, especially if we do have a break, if we have some redundancy in the system, then less people are without the water.
Correct. That's a major reason for the 60-inch main, to have that extra capacity, to have that extra redundancy.
Awesome, thank you. I yield.
All right.
Thank you.
Commissioner Bolton, any questions?
Yes, and it's because it's too small for my eyes to see on the printout. The dotted lines were the decommissioned lines, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, so over here by Atlanta, all of that will be gone? Because I see that it's disconnected at the end, but if it's decommissioned, then?
Correct. That's a stretch along Claremont Road, yes.
Okay, I yield back.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Maria?
Thank you.
We're going to wrap up just quickly with our new strategy. So you may be familiar with Brad. He helped us with the master planning effort, and we were utilizing one strategy. If you recall, not last year, year before, we talked about from our water treatment plant, we literally have just lines going down. There's no overlap. There's no redundancy. So the lines that are from 1941, and we do have a 30-inch main from 1941, Atlanta does too. I won't say anything else. That feeds Emory, by the way. So how do you fix that? And that's why we're building the loop, so that we could gradually, but I would let Brad just talk about a little bit more of the strategy there, and then we will close out.
Yeah, this actually goes to your question, Commissioner Johnson. So we have 4 major transmission mains that transmit water north to south through the county. That's the simplest way to look at it. We have 2 48s and 2 30s. The 2 48s, relatively speaking, are newer. One was put in around 1960, the other in the mid-70s. But the 30s, much older. One was built in 1941, the other was built in the early 50s. We've been having numerous breaks on those lines, lots of problems with them. We've already replaced substantial portions of those mains. The Peachtree Industrial Project is one project that is replacing some of that. The 3 Scott Boulevard phase is another project that replaced a lot of those pipes. Now, as we've been progressing, as part of the original master plan, we did have water main renewal in there, but it was just sort of, it wasn't part of the scope to get into super detail on what we were going to renew and how we were going to renew it. It was just sort of put in as a big lump sum type bucket. And as you know, we've been starting to break that down into projects, doing a lot of the small diameter replacement all over the place. We've been replacing a lot of small diameter mains. Well, some of that money was also intended to go towards the larger transmission mains. So as we've started to realize that these 2 30-inch mains are going to age out, you know, in the next 20 years or so, as I said, we're having more and more breaks on those pipes, becoming more and more frequent. And if you look at this map, there's actually a substantial amount of synergy between Phase D and the routing that we carved out during the master plan for Phase D, that purple line you see on the map, and the 2 30-inch mains, which roughly parallel it just to the east, okay? So the idea is that instead of replacing those 30-inch mains in kind and then building Phase D of the 60-inch, why don't we just upsize the 230s with, slightly larger mains, say 48s, and then we won't need to do the 60 at all. And if you take and you actually go out and calculate, what the cost savings is there by, instead of building that 60 plus 230s, instead of doing that, just build 248s, we're going to save in the neighborhood of $150 to $200 million over 20 years, which is a substantial amount of money. And so that's what we're starting to looking at now is what you just spoke to, which is the synergy between, replacing existing mains and potentially building new transmission mains. Can we do both with two birds, one stone, basically, at that point? Okay? So I just wanted to talk about that real quick.
Yeah, quick question. So I think we all appreciate the financial savings component you just mentioned. But by going with the 248s, does that somehow restrict our ability to be able to service the anticipated million residents?
No, it does not. In fact, the 248s are hydraulically superior to the single 60. So we have more capacity by doing 248s than we would with just a single 60.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah. So it's a big benefit.
Okay.
Overall, yeah. The idea is that we want to get the county to the point where we can take any of these major transmission mains out of service for inspection, maintenance, replacement, repair, whatever, and we don't lose the whole county. We don't lose water service to the whole county, which has happened in the past, and that's what we're trying to avoid here.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Another question, if you don't mind me asking. So as we get down into, I guess, the District 3 area, southwest DeKalb, as well as, Stonecrest area, I see all the large transmission lines coming from the north to sort of north or south central. How does what's the plan for these other areas?
So there's actually a substantial network of large diameter mains in that area. This is showing only 30-inch and above.
Okay.
There's a substantial network of 24, 20, and 16-inch mains down there that support that whole area. Okay. And we're actually, right now, we're developing a plan for large diameter condition assessment. The initial phases of that is focusing on the older northern mains because they are the ones that are presenting with the most problems right now. Most of the southern mains were built more recently. They're in better shape. They're built out of better materials in some cases. So we haven't had nearly the problems with those. But phase 2 of that condition assessment plan will be to start to look at those southern mains and, evaluate them and do condition assessment on them so that we know in the future when those are going to need renewal as well. So.
Okay. And then with development on the south side, I think there was conversations from years past of debris sort of forming inside the water pipes that was restricting the flow. Is that still an issue? Are you guys finding a way to clear that out so we can still get life out of those old pipes?
So I think what you're referring to is the tuberculation in smaller diameter mains. Mostly and that's mostly small diameter stuff. We don't really have a lot of large diameter old cast iron like that would tuberculate. A lot of the old cast iron is from the early 1900s, pre-1940. It was unlined, which is why it tuberculates. And a lot of that has been replaced. For example, do you recall the 20 miles we did in the Briarcliff area, Briarcliff Corridor Project? That was all early 1900s cast iron. And that was all tuberculated, and that's why we were having so many problems down there. And we've replaced all that. And we are working towards getting rid of all of that pipe in the county, just period.
And then a final question. Roads and Drainage has a rating system. I think it's 1 to 100 for the pipe or for the roads. Do we have a rating system for our pipes? And are we, I think one of the directors said we're sort of out of the 20s and getting into the 30s for the water quality, or road qualities, I should say. Is there something analogous to that you guys go by?
Well, we do have the asset management program, yeah.
We do. So right now, we could share on previous, as we go through the CIP, we will be able to demonstrate every pipe in the county, both the water and the sewer side. We have undergone with our partners at Arcadis asset management evaluation, and we do know where the tipping point is. However, I do want to keep in mind that with Brad, We've already packaged over 400 packages of projects that are needed. And CIP, the 10-year CIP only resolves how much out of the, I think it was 80.
Well, it just said, what did it say, 266 miles?
Yeah, but for the small diameter, I think it's only out of the 400 that we've already packaged, it only
Covers about 80 projects.
about 80 projects are covered in the 10-year. So we have a lot of work. But we do know we have completed that analysis, and we'll be sharing. You'll actually see it's a wonderful dashboard, and you could put how much money you want to invest in it, and you could see what happens to the pipe when we actually get to from moving out of the red to the orange to yellow to green.
Yeah. And the short answer, there have been, as part of the asset management study and program, they went through and assigned risk scores to all the pipes based on age, material, failures, where they are, whether they're along, major road, GDOT road, near major, important critical facilities, things like that. And so every pipe was scored with a risk score. That's probably the closest analogous thing I can think of to what you asked about with roads.
Okay, perfect. And this will be all done by 28, so I'm grateful. Commissioners, any questions?
I did have a question by 28. I wonder why
Commissioner
you're
Johnson, go
grateful of that right there. You mentioned the phase 2 assessment that will start looking more at the pipes, I guess more mid-size pipes in the south of the county. When is that slated to start, or has that assessment started?
That'll probably be in years 6 through 10 of the 10-year.
We can only do so much with.
Yeah, okay.
Understood.
Got it, okay.
Unless y'all want to do an infusion.
Yeah.
From where? We want to,
That's
but
always the
can
question.
we?
That's always the question.
But we do have a plan.
Yeah,
We do have a
certainly.
systematic plan that you will be able to see at the end of it. And the reasoning, as Shane mentioned, we are trying to be systematic in how we approach all of our projects.
Ultimately, the larger pipes in the northern part of the county are more important simply because they have to move the water from there to the southern part of the county. I don't know, on one of my figures I showed you, 60% of the water used in the county is south of the ridge line that goes through the county. And then 40% of the water use is north of that. But the water plant's way up at the top.
Yep.
We got to get all that water down so those 60% can, get all the water down where they need it. And that's why those pipes are so important. Yeah.
And then follow-up question with the phase 2 assessment, and I'm certain we've considered this, but wanting to make sure that, those pipes are in good condition now, but before we don't need them to tip into end of their lifespan or something like that before we complete the assessment.
Right.
So we're getting ahead of the curve.
That's what we're trying
For
to do,
South
yes.
DeKalb than what we were able to do for North.
Yes, that is
Yes.
correct. That's exactly what we're trying to do.
Thank you. I yield.
Okay. Great questions, Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner Bolton, any questions?
No, I think you guys covered it.
Okay. All right. Again, thank you, Maria, for the work that you guys have done to this point. I know it's a team effort within Watershed, so thank you very much for what you're doing.
I do want to recognize our other team members that stick
right.
with us every Wednesday. We have purchasing as well. We have law, finance, communications. So it's a huge effort. It's a lot of people that meet to strategize every Wednesday for 2 hours and then go out. So we do that all along in addition to the host of technical experts on the 3rd floor. So we'll be coming back, hopefully, if you will allow us at the next PWI to share on a different portion of our infrastructure.
And just
Absolutely.
follow-up
Go ahead.
question.
Yeah.
The video that we shared at the
Yes.
beginning, can we share that as well? Is it
Yes.
somewhere we can share? Okay.
DCTV will have, it is available right now on YouTube. The link is on YouTube. I'll talk to Aviva to how we make that available. As you know, in addition to your SharePoint site, which will have more confidential, sensitive information, we are also posting our presentations on our CIP site as well, so the public will have a resource as well in our communication strategy. So, thank you, Commissioners.
Hang on one second, Commissioner Bolton.
Yeah, just really quick, a clarifying question with respect to the spending that was on slide 5, where we saw a gradual decrease from 2019, but I just wanted to clarify when it began to go up again after 21, that was due to, I'm assuming, SPLOST spending, but here forward, it will be from the 10 by 10. Is that right?
That's correct. Actually, we did have one rate increase. The first one, I think, in 14 years, in 22, wasn't that correct? And that allowed us to issue bonds, I think, 400 and something million in bonds. So we were running out of funds, and then we had a bond infusion. At the same time, we had WIFIA loans and GFA loans. And we drew down on that, of course, in 2024, and again, needed an infusion. So now with the 10 by 10, we have a consistent source, and that's really our projections. As you could see in the latter years, we plan to ramp up to spend $500 million per year to continue tackling the issue.
Nice.
Are any of those projects still active from those other sources of funding, or have we completed those?
So we still have, I think we have some remnants of projects. Okay. Right. No. Just a reminder, we do have, we utilize about 10 million in SPLOST, and in our bucket, 10 million is wonderful, and we will take any other SPLOST you could send our way, but that's kind of like a street corner for us.
Right.
But to answer your question about the projects, I don't think we have any remainder projects. I think once we finish the Scott Boulevard, because the Scott Boulevard, when did that start, phase 1? Greg? That has been a that has been a long project, probably over 5 years. So that's probably with the conclusion of that one. We've finished a lot of the small diameter, even on the sewer side. So we're now into additional dollars being spent. So that's the challenge with multi-year projects. You have to.
I yield back.
Okay, all right. Again, Maria, thank you.
No problem.
Reggie, both of your teams, really appreciate what you guys are doing for the county and getting us in compliance and also getting us modernized for growth. So thank you very much. All right, Commissioners, I'll acknowledge it's 5:12, but we do have a proposed budget discussion. If I could keep you guys here for a little bit longer, and then I guess if TJ is still here, ask him to come on up. And I don't know if central staff is going to hand out more information, but I'm looking at a document that was handed out at ERPS, I guess. Okay. We've got some copies coming. All right, perfect. TJ?
All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. So yes, I think I have the same document that you're looking at, which has, let's see, 6 different departments' budgets highlighted. So I'll go through those just as I did at the ERPS meeting earlier. So the first on the list is the Roads and Drainage Speed Humps Maintenance Fund. The proposed budget is $631,000 this year versus $607,000 last year. So it's an increase of $24,000 or 4%. And that's really just due to more planned or increases in contractor costs for speed hump construction and increased retirement cuts or retirement service costs. So that fund, I will mention, usually carries a fairly large fund balance, and we usually budget more than they end up spending, so a lot of that returns to the fund balance at the end of the year.
Okay, perfect. And when you referred to retirement, you're not talking about retirement of the speed tables, you're talking about the actual employees that are there doing the
So
work.
since we were talking about retirement in the earlier committee,
Right.
the way that we budget for that is based on the retirement earnings from the previous year. So we take that number that the actuary gives us of what our retirement contribution needs to be for this year, and then we do a percent allocation across all departments that had pension earnings last year.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sanitation, they have a proposed increase of 4%, so right under $4 million. So partly that just reflects higher operating costs as well as an anticipated rate increase. The increases are driven by debt service for the GFA loan and a increase in C&G prices, which is about $1.1 million, as well as higher interfund and personnel costs. So I do believe that in our review, going back through some of the debt service, that there might be a decrease in debt service for the sanitation fund, so you might not see as large an increase once we have those amended numbers.
Okay.
Next is the streetlight funds under transportation. Make sure I'm in the right order. Yep. So it has an increase of just over $2 million, which is a 43% increase. Reason for that is for several years, their revenue has lagged behind what the actual cost is to provide electricity for streetlights. So we've been subsidizing that through the tax funds. And with the user fee study that we're having conducted by MGT, the goal is to have a new rate structure that's going to generate enough revenue for that fund to be self-sufficient.
Nice, perfect.
So we're still waiting the results from that study. They should be available next month. So,
do we know how long other funds have been supporting this?
I would have to, look back to give you an exact, but I'd say about 2 or 3 years.
2 or 3 years. Okay. All right.
And then going a little bit out of order just because they're connected, but if you could look at the last department is the transportation designated fund, where there's a decrease of $1.5 million. That's mostly due to that subsidy that we're removing now this year because the streetlight fund is supporting itself.
Understood. Okay. Okay, that makes sense.
All right. And then the other two on the list are watershed management. So I think you just heard a lot about watershed management, but the increase is about 19% to their water and sewer fund. So that's close to $57 million. That's due to the rate increases as well as the additional funding from those going to capital. And then the sinking fund, which is our debt service for watershed management, is also increasing by 33%. Again, just driven by the additional debt service.
Okay. TJ, thank you for that quick run through. Commissioners, any questions that have come up? Any
No
concerns?
additional questions.
Nothing? Okay. TJ, thank you for what you did. Thank you for putting this down on paper. As always, digestible and easily to understand. Thank you much.
You're welcome.
Commissioners, I think we are done with our agenda for this week. And so at this point, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
I'll go ahead and second. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. All right. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time.